We are so close to my new base. Let's have a look. Hello and welcome to the 3D Bedrock? No, welcome to the Bedrock Collective. My name is Categorizer, at least I got that right. And I'm surrounded by bees, because in the last episode we started moving them. Just as a little bit more of an effort really, because apparently you can just mine the bee's nest and they will happily stay inside them. But yeah, I had to explain of why I had been gone for such a time, and I felt the episode a little bit because yeah, I've spent some time on the server, not being around, but doing some building, and especially I made myself a new and main base a little bit further away in the world, and we are approaching it now from the other side that I usually fly from it, because for some bearings the shopping district would be somewhat over there. We're now approaching it from a different side, which is an interesting side, which you wouldn't see much about in the future episodes, I guess, because I would probably be flying from the other direction. But yeah, teased are long enough, so let's try and get a little bit closer to actually go and see what this base is about. And maybe also explain the connection. Base is actually inspired by some by these bees that I collected in the first episode, really. And it gave me some inspiration. And if the bees would get out of my view, wow, you would probably understand why in a little moment. First, we need to think about putting these bees to something. So let's take a fence post, and this should work for now. Okay, now they're all connected. Okay, let's set my spawn, because I don't have a spawn at the moment. And yeah, let's take an aerial view. Welcome to my base. Does it connect by now? Yeah, the shape of my base is very familiar to something related to bees, and that is these are all hexagons, and that is pretty much the idea for my base. I'm sorry, there's nothing much to it. I could really spend another episode explaining, but yeah, that's really much it. I just collected some bees on day one, and then I thought, why not make a hexagon base? And then I started drinking around in a test world, and this shape came around pretty soon. And there's two parts to this, and actually I've got a little bit of it right here. So I will be doing a little bit of terraforming, which will be some stone connecting the different heights of this base. And then obviously we would have the oxygen shapes, and they are connected, of course, in a grid, as you would do with hexagons. So you've got these ones are connected to this side, but then this one is connected to that one in more of a diagonal fashion, because obviously you would have this side. It isn't very much showable, but on that side you can see we got this side, and then that side, then that side, then it's a straight side again, and then it is two of these other shapes again. But seeing as the top bit is straight, you couldn't see it from where I was standing. And then it was well, I wanted to have those at a different height so we could play around with that. And as you can see, I've already started to experiment. Now this one, oh yeah, this one is a tall one, so this is currently the lowest one, and then this one is next higher, but this one is 2 levels higher, and then that one should be 1 level higher again, or actually 2. But I may have made a mistake around there, but we could level that up still. I'm actually unsure. Was I supposed to raise them by 1 or raise them by 2? I don't know. That one is now not the right height, I guess. But as you can see, then I want to spiral around in a circle, getting higher and higher. So that would be the highest and that would be the lowest then at the moment. And yeah. And then the interesting thing is like these connecting stairways, connecting all the platforms that would be. So we've got this one, and this one is just a little bit higher and connected with this tunnel. And then this tunnel connects to over here. And then you can use this one to go underneath here, where apparently I'm growing some trees at the moment. But then you can cross back and go underneath where we just stood, where the storage area is. And then we go in the main entrance area at the moment, because here's my portal. And it's pointing to where you need to be. But that's what I like about this base concept. Now this will change still, because it's all under construction. But it will probably have some shape like I've done up here. But yeah, the idea is like all these tunnels, then unless you know where you need to be in the base, you can actually get quite lost in it. I would imagine, at least, because at the moment not many of these things have been built yet. So unless you take a wrong turn somewhere, you should be able to find your way out quite soon yet. But could you imagine like having all these chutes have different levels, and then the different staircases between them? Oh, it's gonna be a very interesting base. And if anything, it's gonna be modular. Okay, that's a very difficult word. Modular. So yeah, this base is gonna be very modular, and that has a reason actually, because yeah, I intentionally want to be able to gradually expand this base, but at any point in time, I also want this base to at least feel finished. Obviously, at the moment, it is not, and that's intentional, because yeah, I knew I wanted to return someday, so I wanted to leave something that I could still be building with you guys being back on the server. So, but as you can see, I have done some things, and maybe I need to split in a few episodes of what I've been doing again, because again, a lot of time has been spent, and I don't really want to jump into building the base quite yet before I've described what I've been doing, because yeah, the time has been spent. It's now, I spent 145 hours apparently on the server, and that definitely wasn't spent in all of the first 4 or 5 episodes. So yeah, we need some catching up talking to do, so that's why we're probably not doing anything in this episode yet. But at least we now have taken a look at my current new base that is replacing the old base, and now actually I've got the bees on me. So in the future episode we will probably be making a bee farm, but I've got some farms already, which yeah, I'm obligated to talk about, I guess. So we've got this Cactus Farm, quite obviously, yeah, simple that. And then we've got this Kelp Farm, which I recently actually took out and reconfigured doing this, because I had some spiraling thing to have every piece of kelp be broken by a piston, but it wasn't yielding enough. So I've since, oh well, this week I guess, reconfigured it to actually use a flying machine over there. Don't try this at home. I'm serious, because this flying machine in particular at the moment is very much prone to break. But I'm a little bit proud of it, because at least I've been able to design it myself, which reminds me that one of these areas in my base needs to be dedicated to developing some areas, because I just placed it up here, but it was blocking my storage access. So yeah, I still need to make myself an area where I can tinker around with some redstone before installing it in the true location. But yeah, this at least is now providing some kelp, but it is still not helping me with something I really need at the moment, which is experience of all things. Because I've made so many bases where eventually, or maybe from the start, I would start with gathering some villagers. I'm really used to trading with villagers and getting my XP from that. But now I forced myself into a situation where I don't have got any access to experience. So I was like, okay, let's make the all famous Cactus Farm and have a fuel farm, and then we can get some XP, right? Well, this is Bedrock Edition, and so there's this disparity between Java Edition and Bedrock Edition, which I did not know about until I figured, why am I getting so much less XP from Cactus? Well, apparently, and it's probably a bug on the Java side, on Java, you get a whole experience point from smelting one cactus. On Bedrock Edition, that is only 0.2. For comparison, Kelp, being the absolute worst, is 0.1. So, technically, because the cactus needs to smelt in a normal furnace and kelp you can smelt in a smoker being twice as fast, Cactus is actually at the same rate of smelting kelp on Bedrock Edition. I could pretty much do without this whole Cactus Farm and could just focus on kelp because it's the same speed. I should have known this from the start before I made a Cactus Farm. This is literally wholly redundant. The only thing this yields to me is green dye, and it's overflowing already. I don't need anything more. I'm probably the reason I'm showing this is probably because next episode this is just being torn out. It is of no use. I could just expand on the kelp farm, make it twice as big, make it span 2 of these things, maybe even 4. I'd have to think about it, but yeah, that's gonna be it. It's just gonna be kelp. And otherwise, I'll just buy my XP, which apparently, luckily at the moment, is stocked. So I think very recently I gifted myself some bottles of Enchanting, which are apparently very good at repairing tools, because as you can see, I only need a few bottles, I think. I haven't done much, so this should, repair in no time. Bottles of Enchanting are actually capable of producing quite a lot of XP, so I'll resort to having to buy my XP, which, well, you need a lot of diamonds nowadays, so it shouldn't be difficult to get enough diamonds to buy the experience that I need to repair my stuff, as long as hopefully the experience gets to be restocked. At the moment I was buying them earlier this week. How? Wait, oh. Hang on a moment. Now, either you're low health because you've fallen a great height and walked off, or did you spawn in the trees because I'm hope. What is that skeleton doing there as well? Is there some ground area nearby? Oh, I see. It may have spawned on the mushroom. Oh, I was afraid that creepers were a thing again. Phew, I do know the walls of my base are high enough, but I don't know. That I'm feeling that a creeper may be capable of walking some scaffolding and still reach me, and I don't want a creeper in my back. That wouldn't be the first time. So yeah, the experience situation is covered for now, as long as it is being stocked in the shopping area. But yeah, Cactus Farm, no use on Bedrock Edition. So I may be resorting to kelp. And hopefully I can get some XP out of that. But it's probably gonna take a full double chest of items for one furnace to even repair a single thing, I guess. Or not even, maybe. So, and to fill all these furnaces, that's gonna require a pretty big kelp farm, which I'm unsure if I either want to make or even have the space for it in my base. Because even though I want to make this base modular and it could grow out to something large, I don't really want to spend more than this on the kelp farm. So, but if it isn't enough to yield me XP, I may need to think that, because if it eventually runs out and I cannot buy it anymore, yeah, I'll need to have my own XP. But for now, at least I'm covered, and the experience bottles prove to be very worthful. Alright, there is one last piece of my base that I can talk about, which I might as well talk about at the moment, is this thing over here, which I would have loved to have done on camera, but at the same time I've learned redstone on camera isn't something you should be doing, really. It takes a lot of time to get it right and such, so we'll talk about what it has become instead. And this is actually something... Oh, okay, crouching on our slab. Let's see if I can get a vantage point. So this is, first and foremost, something I've completely built myself. Like literally, I placed the blocks. So I built it myself, right? No, and I've also kind of designed it myself. Now, to explain, the whole idea behind this is something I've seen a Java video about. I wouldn't want to spoil myself in how to make it on Bedrock. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna take the concept out of the Java video and construct it myself. And the whole concept is, this is a, what they call a recategorizer, or categorizer, I don't know, one of those things. So the whole concept is, you've got these chests over here, and each column has a category of stuff. I'm actually on the wrong side of the contraption. So you can see this first one is dedicated to wood and wood types, but it has no order of it because there is no actual sorting going on here. It's just finding an empty slot, and in this case these all ended up over here. As you can see, this one is more dedicated to tuff and grass and things. And I've actually in this case used a chest above to store some of the shulker boxes for the cobblestone and stone and such. And then this is more where the categorized items end up. And then I could shift them above in a few chests. But this whole column is sorted by the chest that is at the back here. These chests decide what is actually being filtered for said column. So as you can see in this column, we've got a lot of mob drops and farm drops. And this is a precious chest with also some coal and torches, because why not? And then this cobble deep slate doesn't belong here. So apparently something has broken. I must have deloaded it while it was sorting, and these don't have a filter yet, and this one then has again. And so the way you do this is, the concept is like, you've got this chest, and this chest decides what is being filtered. So the thing you do, we've got this minecart over here, and this is actually using the same concept as I said with the bee farm, of the concept that I said what I was inspired by. This uses that same concept which I wanted to use, as I said, for the storage system. As you can see, is this hopper, it's actually inverted, which turned out the way I needed to make it work. But we've got these wooden shovels, which means there's only one space left. And so if it were to go under the main chest, which over there, that's the input chest, it would pick up the first item that it finds. Now let's say that this rotten flesh. So it would now pick up only rotten flesh, because it now is a filter essentially, this minecart. So it would only stack up for so many items for rotten flesh. There's a little timer over here which limits how long it stays under the chest, and so it takes around 48 items, I think, and then it comes across here. Now the first thing it comes across, as you can see, is over here by these chests, and it would go to the chests and then find a chest that actually has the rotten flesh in it. And now as it takes this flesh out of it, that actually moves the there's this comparator looking, and it lowers the item by 1 value, which means there is a state over here that gets powered to then shove an item up to the other dropper, which means the state changes. There is another comparator over here. This one will read something, and the torch would go out for that column. So essentially, by the filter coming up underneath over here and then taking out the item, this column essentially gets selected. What it then does is, first, to make sure, we actually let it go across these empty hoppers, which would take out the shovels, because there are exactly 4 hoppers. As the minecart goes across at a decent enough speed, it is only able to drop 1 item, or actually it is the hoppers that suck up from the minecart, which I've learned. The hopper minecart only is able to suck items from chest above, but doesn't itself drop anything in chest below. Believe me, I tried. So it would result in only the rotten flesh being the single item that is, or the single type of item that is still in the minecart. And so what we then can do is actually let the Minecraft go on top of the chests, as you can see. And then as a column is selected, which I can see there is a problem over here, because this one should not be selected, but it is a good demonstration. Let's say this column got selected, then also on this side, this hopper is being depowered. So as the minecart comes across, it would go into the hopper to drop it back in place. And again, this hopper is only able to pull 1 item. So the minecart would have, let's say, 48 items of rotten flesh in it, in this slot. But it's only able to pull out 1. And that 1 would go in the hopper, and the hopper would go in there. And as it goes into there again, the filter is being reset. Although the state is not being reset yet, because then the minecart is being dropped onto this hopper, where it is just remaining still until all the items are being drained out. And those items go into that hopper line, which is just going above all the other hoppers. But as you can see, of course, these torches are all powered, except the one where the item is to be dropped. So it would go around those hoppers, but this hopper is only then being able to suck it down. And it will bring it then down to the first chest, or the last chest really, that it can find a space. If this chest is full, it would end up in this hopper. And if this hopper is full, then it wouldn't be able to pull from that hopper, so it would end up in a chest above. So it would just naturally fill as it goes. And if it cannot find any chests, then in the end there is a... Oh dear, I just broke my own contraption by shoving that minecart. It was already broken, but now it's probably... Okay. Don't try to demonstrate your own circuit and move across that hopper too close, because you might just set it off and break your own contraption. As you can see, there's no torch here, so any remaining items will just end up right here. So these are mostly the items that either have not been sorted yet or cannot be sorted, as you can see. I'm quite proud of how I was able to design this pretty much on my own, though it took a few attempts, I must admit, before I got this right, and especially of how I was able to move the minecart around in a somewhat efficient fashion, because first it needs to go underneath these chests, and then it needs to drop off the shovels, and then it needs to go above this chest, then it needs to drop off those items, so it needs to be far above, or I needed to make a dropper elevator, which I did in the first time, but that took a lot of space. So eventually I let the cereal go there, and then it needs to fall again to go underneath these hoppers, because that's the final steps. These would now have the shovels in it, and then it goes not underneath, but to the side of it in this configuration, to then have the shovels to be set up for a new filter again and ready for the next item. Maybe there could be made some optimization there. And then above here, there's a little timer circuit, just with some comparator clock, just to lengthen the time, because we actually need to lengthen the time that we need to remember which slot the items need to go, so that if the items need to be in the very last column, the last item that got out of the minecart should be able then to still reach the last column where it needs to be before, when the timer runs out, that then resets the state via this redstone line over here, which goes on top of the hoppers, or droppers I must say, and then shoves the item back to underneath, resetting the state. As you can see, this torch is now reset because I set the minecart up and such. It actually reset itself, but I'm probably certain that somewhere in the chest there was already an item in the wrong location, and now probably there's another item even more located. Probably in this. Yeah, see, that grass block isn't supposed to be here. Yeah, I've got some repair works to do. But anyway, I hope you now understand how this contraption works a little bit. And if anything, it filled some time. So that's actually where I'm gonna end this episode. Which actually means I've made 3 on the same day, but I still need to edit them. But anyway, thank you for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed this episode and want to see me make more episodes. And hopefully I'll catch you guys soon again. Bye for now.